Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something that literally touches every single one of us, yet constantly leaves us feeling, frankly, frustrated and stressed out. We are exploring the fascinating psychology of money, and specifically, we're going to unpack the deeply psychological reasons why saving money feels so incredibly difficult for most people.
So, why is it just so hard to save money? Look, if you've ever found yourself asking this, you've got to know you are completely normal. It's a widespread, incredibly stressful problem. Millions of people, even those bringing in a totally decent income, find themselves stuck living paycheck to paycheck, just completely unable to build a cushion. We're always taught that personal finance is just math, right? Save 10%, follow a formula, and you're good. But let's be real, if it were just math, we'd all be doing it perfectly. The truth is, money isn't physics, it's psychology. It is entirely about how we behave, not just what we know. Section 1. You are not crazy. The newborn concepts of modern finance. This completely shifts things when you actually look at the history. We kind of assume we should naturally be amazing at saving, but consider this for a second. The 401k, the absolute backbone of American retirement savings, wasn't even invented until 1978. The idea that everyone should have a dignified retirement funded by their own investments only became a widespread expectation in the 1980s. And the Roth IRA? Created in 1998. Seriously, if the Roth IRA were a person, it would barely be old enough to rent a car. We're practically evolutionary newborns when it comes to the modern financial system. And that brings us to this really beautiful realization from the source material. We're not crazy, we're just beginners. I mean, before World War II, most people just worked until they died. Think about it. Dogs were domesticated 10,000 years ago, and they still act wild sometimes. Yet we have barely 40 or 50 years of experience with the modern financial system, and we expect to be flawless masters of it? Because these concepts are barely a generation or two old, it makes perfect logical sense that most of us are just winging it and making mistakes. Moving on to Section 2, the man in the car. The respect paradox. So, the author of our source material actually spent years working as a valet at a luxury hotel in LA. He watched people pull up in Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces. Now, these drivers bought these incredibly expensive cars to send a clear signal. Look at me, I made it, I'm important. But as a valet, he noticed something fascinating. When people see a luxury car, they don't look at the driver and think, wow, that guy is so cool. Instead, they completely ignore the driver, stare at the car, and think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I am cool. So the crucial point is this massive paradox. No one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. We drop huge chunks of our income buying luxury items to earn the genuine respect and admiration of others, but it actively fails because observers just use your wealth as a benchmark for their own desire to be admired. Spending to signal success is a psychological trap that absolutely drains our ability to save. Which brings us to Section 3, rich versus wealthy, the invisible assets. There is this really profound difference between being rich and being wealthy. Being rich is entirely about current income and visible spending. If you see someone driving a $100,000 car, they're probably rich because they have the income to make that massive payment. But the only thing you actually know for a fact is that they have $100,000 less in their bank account than they did before they bought it. For all we know, they might just be really good at going into debt. Wealth, on the other hand, is hidden. It is income not spent. Because true wealth is simply the financial assets that haven't been converted into visible stuff yet. It's an option you just haven't exercised. The reason it is so incredibly difficult for most people to save is because as humans, we learn by imitation. But since true wealth is invisible, it's literally just numbers on a brokerage statement. It is incredibly hard to find genuinely wealthy role models to imitate in society. We only ever see the rich people who are out there visibly spending. And this brilliantly illustrates the reality here. Wealth is literally defined by restraint. It is the nice car you didn't buy, the diamonds you didn't purchase, the first-class upgrade you declined. Spending money to show people how much money you have is quite literally the fastest way to have less money. True wealth requires the absolute discipline to not buy the things you can technically afford.
All right, Section 4, the ego and income gap. Rethinking the math of savings.
Now, think back to the 1970s energy crisis for a second. The world basically thought it was running out of oil. So how did we survive? It wasn't primarily by finding massive new oil fields. No, we survived through efficiency.
Cars, homes, and factories simply started demanding less energy. Building wealth works exactly the same way. You don't necessarily need to find more fuel, meaning a higher income or massive investment returns. You just need to become vastly more efficient with what you already have. You need to lower your demand.
And this brings us to the ultimate aha moment of this explainer. Savings is simply the gap between your income and your ego. Past a certain basic level of income, everything else we spend is just a reflection of ego, trying to keep up with others or display our status. Saving money isn't really about how much you make. It is a constant, daily struggle against the deeply human instinct to display your wealth to the people around you. So why is focusing on keeping your ego in check so much better than stressing over higher returns? Because it gives you 100% control. Investment returns are completely unpredictable, right? The stock market's going to do whatever it wants. But choosing to shrink your desires, choosing to care just a little bit less about what other people think of your car or your clothes, that has a 100% chance of improving your financial efficiency. Frugality is the one part of the wealth equation that is entirely within your own hands.
Let's hit Section 5, Saving Buys You Freedom, the highest dividend.
A lot of people think savings is just, money sitting around doing absolutely nothing. But those unspent assets are actually actively working for you right now. They are buying you options. Having savings means you can take a few days off when you're sick without spiraling into a panic about debt. It means if you get laid off, you can wait for a good job instead of desperately taking the first bad one that comes your way. It means finally escaping that micromanaging boss. These tangible, real-world options are what savings truly provides. You aren't just hoarding cash, you are buying your own independence.
And this quote really summarizes the core takeaway of the source material. Controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. The absolute highest form of wealth isn't a massive mansion or a fleet of supercars. It is simply waking up in the morning and being able to say, I can do whatever I want today. Money's greatest intrinsic value is its ability to give you control over your own life. So, I want to leave you with this thought to carry with you. The next time you're tempted to, upgrade your lifestyle or buy that luxury item just to impress people you don't even know, ask yourself, when you spend, what are you really buying? Are you buying things or are you buying freedom? Because every single dollar you save is a piece of your future that you own rather than someone else. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, Focused Learners. Keep those egos low and your options wide open.